Hello. Very nice to be here as always. This is going to be an interesting period of time that we're stepping into. And kind of right here where we're playing, we're going to kind of recognize the solstice. The solstice, for our purposes, the solstice is just a point in time that we have been for the last number of years, beginning just to kind of ask the question, what's going on? How is things changing? What is everything looking like? And so we've been playing with the solstice, the equinoxes, it's just points in time. So we're at one of those points in time, and it happens to be a pretty amazing shifting period of time. So I'd like to kind of explain a little bit of where we've been and where we're going. So many of you have been playing here for quite some time, but I'm also aware there's a whole lot of you who have maybe this is the first time you've been here. So welcome, nice to have you. So I'm going to try to explain a little bit about what is happening, where it's going, and what does it mean. And in a way, we're going to start from an odd place. We're about to make a 90-degree turn. 90-degree turns. Well, sometimes that's a pretty challenging thing, especially if there's a lot of rigidness in it. If you have to make this hard left or hard right turn in your life and everything's not lined up for a 90-degree turn, traumatic, challenging, generally unintended consequences come to play in that space. If you are kind of noticing it and you are able to anticipate it and kind of move into it, there's a little bit of a rounding of that 90-degree angle, and it just kind of smoothly turns into something that pretty much is right along your path. Many times it's not even noticed until later on you go, gee, I was here and now I'm here. And how did I get here? For some people, that 90-degree turn, structurally very masculine, we'll talk about that in a minute, is a surprise. It's like, I have to change my life. Now, right now, if you look around the world, that 90-degree turn has begun to affect an awful lot of people. It's estimated 100 million people have lost their house, their homestead, wherever they are, all over the world, whether it's from climate change, whether it's from power over military, just simple greed. People have been shifting. And so that's abrupt, as you can see. 90-degree turns. So this space where we're playing right now in terms of this shift, we are moving into a very different experience. Something is unfolding very differently. On one hand, it's going to be very exciting if you are able to be fluid and flexible and anticipate this 90-degree turn. On the other hand, if you're playing in 3D and arguing for limitations and digging in your heels and wanting status quo and gee, let's go back to pre-2019, this is going to be a challenging period of time. If you are arguing for limitations, you're going to have a challenge. 3D. So one of the things that is unfolding here that's kind of a fascinating experience is, let's just put three concepts on the table. One concept is the map is not the territory. Simply, if I pull out the map and I follow the road as it says to follow the road and turn here and turn there, I'll wind up at where I'm going theoretically. But how much did I miss along the way? And the map is really no longer that well defined. And so if I'm not paying attention to what's out and around me, I'm going to be bumping into some unintended consequences in a way. And then we also have a concept that is, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you've always got. And that seems to be somewhat true playing in the past. But not paying attention to that as a pattern in your life, that I'm very repetitive, that I just do the same thing over and over. I have this very specific set of beliefs and truths, and that this is my life. That's not routine. That's just simply, this is my life. That's going to become challenging also because the road on the map is going to hit some dead ends, a break in the road here and there. And so if you're very locked into this is the truth, it's going to be a challenging period of time going forward. And then the third concept is everything I see is everything that I see. Funny. But in fact, if you understand how the brain works, the brain simply looks at what you look at. So my eyes are right over here focusing on that, and I see that, whatever that is, the tree I'm looking at. But what the brain does, it says, well, when there's a tree, there probably is all of these other things going on also. And so the brain kind of fills in the rest of the map, not the territory. It simply says, well, yeah, you should, this is what you're going to see. So that point where the brain and the eye focus on something and then basically believe that this is what's in fact in front of me, that's going to change also. So the ability to begin to start to notice what's in front of me and begin to step into present time. Now, time, that's another piece of this. We talk about time all the time. But time is simply your attention point held in a particular place at a particular moment, and then another moment, and then another moment. And I am constant in my point of view, and time and space are filling in the peripheral of what I'm looking at. My brain says this is what should be there also. And I'm there for a moment, and then I'm there for another moment, and then I'm there for an hour, and then I'm there for a week. And that point of reference that I'm holding, it has variations in it because time is motion. Time is in motion. And so, but what we're starting to find is that if you believe what you have always believed and you follow the same road that you always follow, all of a sudden what's starting to appear in the periphery of your belief system is not going to be what it has been in the past. So as we step into this space of this shifting time, you're fine, but time and space moving through you are going to start to move through you with different amplifications, meaning the speed or the motion of the time. You're going to start to find that some of the aspects of how you hold your truths are going to change. Now, this is where, for all of you, it gets really interesting. This solstice that we're playing in right now is basically going to open up, I'm going to first call it time. It's going to begin to play in such a way that you're going to start to see other aspects of attention points that are going to begin to present themselves. So some would call those timelines, that all of a sudden, here I am, and something expands into my awareness outside of the box, outside of the labels, outside of the chunks of time that I'm so used to, and something new is going to start to present. We have a tendency to label things. We have a tendency to put things in boxes. We have a tendency to chunk things in time. Again, this 1 minute, this 1 hour, this 1 day. We're not very good at seconds because that happens too fast and our attention is not there. So on this end of time, seconds aren't so important. Milliseconds aren't so important. Minutes, not so much. I can kind of sit here for a minute. An hour, I can sit here for an hour. Things start to happen. I see something happening. Something changes in my awareness. Change. A day, I'm good for a day. I can have a sense of a day. A week, I have a sense of a week. But I'm also starting to notice that my time is going faster. Oh, it's like, gee, are we here again? A month? Months are going faster. A year? Well, a year, to a great extent, is beyond your comprehension, because I say, what did you do last March? How about February? Do you remember what you did in June? What did you do on the 31st of September? No clue. No clue. So what goes on in that space begins to be, you have a frame of reference. We call it 3D game board. You play on that game board, and this is how it works. To a great extent, my eye tells my brain, this is what is going on. And my brain says, fine, and I say, fine, and I progress. But for most of you, you're watching that things aren't falling into place quite the same way. As we go forward, things are not going to fall in place the same way again. And this is where it gets pretty exciting. So one of the aspects that's happening in this solstice is it is beginning to expand. And so let's not call it timelines. Let's call it fields of awareness are expanding. You're beginning to have access to the territory if you get away from the map. If you simply begin to allow these awarenesses to come in without having labels or boxes or this is a truth, so this can't be going on, you're going to start to experience aspects of consciousness expanding. This next 3-6 months, I'm going to even call it this next year, 2024, is going to be very dynamic. It's going to be very exaggerated. It's going to be very destabilizing in a lot of ways, because those truths that we hold on to in and around what I'm looking at, what I believe to be true, my box, my label, all of a sudden is going to become not true in many ways. So take a breath, because we're presenting a lot of interesting new awarenesses in this expanded space. Another aspect of what is unfolding that's coming into this expanded space that is going to be both very helpful and also very optimistic and also incredibly challenging for some. So I'm now going to divide it into the place where I quite often talk in terms of moving into a fifth dimensional, multi-dimensional awareness. We're staying in that third dimensional box that we've all grown up in. The third dimensional box is coming apart. We're moving through we're in a space where time, space are moving through us. Just like reading a chapter in a book and you get to the end, you're not in the same place you were at the beginning. So it's just like the solstice, this earth moves around the sun. But when you get out to the edges, to this solstice that we're in now, we're not where we were before. And what's in this space is a tremendous amount of consciousness that has not been seen. It's like riding on the train. You just keep moving along. New scenery comes into your view. The aspect that's going to be very exciting and very challenging is a whole new level of feminine energy is moving into this aspect of our consciousness. Really exciting. But the feminine energy is full of flow and choice, and in this new arena of awareness, opportunities, possibilities, options that have never been at your fingertips. Now, that 90-degree turn, if you are in a fifth dimensional space, if you are in a loving space, if you're in a point of where you're present and aware and not caught up in third dimensional, I'm not okay, I don't deserve, this isn't working, I'm terrified, there's a lot of fear, is my life going to fall apart under me, third dimension? That space with this new feminine energy in it is going to begin to be challenging for one of the primary reasons is we seem to live in a male-dominated energy pattern. And this feminine energy is going to be very disruptive to that. So all of the government-created wars, all of the structures of the three-dimensional game, all the imposition, male imposition onto the societies, the rules, the structures. Look around. Have you noticed that there's a lot of authoritativeness coming into the game? In the last, now I think it's 90 months, 99 months, 30, that's not correct. In the last year and a half, 30 out of 195 countries have become authoritative. The democracy aspects have been kind of muted, pushed to the side, and that authority, that masculine domination has kind of come into play. This feminine energy is like a breath of fresh air from a fifth dimensional standpoint, but to that male-dominated experience, it's going to start to cause cracks. It's going to start to cause the structure, the rigidness, to give way, to become more fluid, become more flexible. The masculine energy is not going to receive this well. So let's be more specific here for a moment. How are you oriented? What is your orientation? Do you do the same thing over and over and expect the same result? Do you follow the rules? Do you just stay right on follow the map? How are you orienting yourself to basically begin to have this 90-degree turn? So this fluidness, this feminine energy that's kind of coming into the game is going to provide the opportunity for your ability to pause, observe, and kind of ride on a much smoother pattern into the choices that are going to be presented. If you argue with that, if you push against it, if that level of fear or pain that's held inside that hasn't been cleared away speaks very loud, this is going to become somewhat challenging. It's that rigidness saying, no, I'm not going to give in. No, I'm not going to allow. No, I'm not going to love. No, I'm not going to be comfortable. This is my truth. That's going to get uncomfortable. So as this next year unfolds, those rigid truths that we each hold are going to be presented to us in ways to where what the eye sees and what the brain fills in around the edges is going to be confusing. You started to play in a place of, if you can hear the world around you and your own internal world are going to become confusing. Hear that softly for a moment. And rather than dive into the confusion and step back in fear, if that confusion could be allowed and maybe just shifted slightly to be, this is really interesting how this is all unfolding. Take a breath, pause. How do I observe this? The brain is going to rearrange and begin to give you the choices that are starting to be presented in this feminine nature that's coming into your awareness. So it comes back to the same thing over and over. How will you choose? How will we choose? There is an acceleration in this energy that's also happening. And coupled with what's occurred in 2023, the opportunity to basically be excited rather than fearful and step into choices and experiences that have never been seen before is what this solstice is now opening up going into 2024. There are going to be answers to wars. There's going to be answers to climate change. There's going to be answers to internal, personal off-balanceness that are simply going to come on what was presented in the equinox in 2023 in the fall, that word smooth. So I'll go back and I'll reframe that in a minute. But this nature of the shifting being smooth, effortless even, just simply by being present and allowing time and space to move through you rather than chasing what you think should be happening, is going to be very smooth in your reality. We're going to say you're going to be absolutely stunned at how simple and smooth this creation, that intention, this possibility, that opportunity unfolds. Amazed at how smooth this is going to be. If you're still holding on to that fear and you want to see confusion as a problem, then that smoothness begins to have a little bit of stickiness to it. You begin to hold on to that magnetic energy that says, this is stuck, I don't know what to do, this is challenging, this is not good. That begins to be pretty intense, that magnetic arguing for limitations. That's going to also play out significantly in 2024, because if you're paying any attention to the sun is going into its solar maximum. It is active in ways that it has not been in previous solar cycles, going way back into the 1500s. There's something new happening. The magnetic fields of the sun, or the magnetic flow of the sun, is altering the magnetic field of the earth very substantially. It is also altering the magnetic field that you live in. And so where there is fear, that 90-degree turn begins to be challenging. Where there is pause and opportunity to observe and then take a step forward choosing, that 90-degree turn is going to be smoothed out as you make those transitions. So I'm being really specific here. What do I expect to be happening? Something that humans seem to do is they go into fear. Oh, this is coming. This thing is coming. It's next month. This thing is going to happen. And then we stay in fear for a whole month. And more often than not, what we were fearful of didn't even come about. But we ran fear for an entire month. This opportunity that's being opened up, this feminine energy, this fluidity, this flow that's coming into this space, if you will allow a pause, recognize time, space moves through you, you don't chase time and space. In that pause, the ability to simply take a breath. Just pause, observe. Allow everything to restructure in that one moment of simple breath and observe in present time. So as this feminine energy begins to come into that space, the ability to start to see new answers for yourself, new choices, are going to be very helpful. One more piece that's unfolding in this solstice period that we're playing here. Time, which I've said here a couple of times, very linear in the 3D world. And for people who haven't been playing and mastering alchemy, humanity just assumes time is time, linear, past, present, future. You die, that's time. It's not what time is only. Time is an application. It is not a fixed concept. So one of these aspects of time that's now starting to come into everybody's awareness will be seen by those who pause and choose, but will not be seen by those who continue to move forward into time rather than letting time serve you. So we've been talking about this fourth aspect of time. For those who are new, present time has 5 configurations. It can be experienced in 5 different ways, not just linear. But this fourth aspect of time, which is just a label because we don't know what to call it, it's in that pause, in that quietness, and particularly going into 2024, where that allowing the flow of the feminine, your own natural state of existence, to simply resettle things. This fourth aspect of time is very interesting because it's present right now, but it also smooths out the emotions and the thoughts that hold you engaged with your past and future. And what happens is it's as if you were able to just simply remove gravity, and all of the events on the timeline, your timeline, just simply began to sit there. There was no magnetics, there was no past, there was no future, there was no the truth. It was just an event. In this space that we're about to step into, in this pause, in this feminine energy, if you are able to simply allow this concept that my past and future not only are not fixed, they don't have the emotions attached to them, and I have the ability to rewrite my story. Interesting, would it be? Rewriting your story. So one of the things that has happened to each of us as we move in linear time, believing we're moving through time rather than time moving through us, in us moving through time, we take a step, we observe our circumstance, our condition, our reality. The brain says what you're looking at deserves to have this embellishment, and here's your truth, the brain says. To a great extent, the brain and you, the rational mind, are structured on your past events of your story. And so I step into something that's similar, and the brain says, oh, this is like when you, and you lay it into your story. You take another step, different circumstance, you look at your past, you make a decision, the brain lays it into your story. A great part of your story is false. A great part of your story never happened. A great part of your story is made up in order to support a condition of belief that I think happened. And then it repeats and rolls over itself, repeats, and you get the picture. Here's my story. This event that we're stepping into right now, kind of starting last week or two actually, it's going to extend in terms of opportunities through the first quarter of 2024. But if you could begin to allow yourself to be in this pause, in this ease, in this fluidity, in this observing the world around you, rather than letting the world control you, turn off your television. The world is in its own stories. All the stories are coming to the surface to simply be reset. Reset. Would you like to reset your story? Now, this has 2 components to it. If you look back into your story from the standpoint of holding on to it, rearranging it is challenging. If you look forward into your story, what you think it should be, this is going to be challenging. You're in the duality of the 3D game. Past, future, good, bad, right, wrong. This is my story. But if you can get into this pause, into this aspect of recognizing this softness, we'll play here in a moment, this ease, this smoothness, this octave, which we'll talk about again in a second, this allowing me to simply be whole, be comfortable, be present. I have a lot of story in my space, but I'm not giving attention to my story. I'm being here, now, in this present moment. This fourth aspect of time is going to allow you to simply be right here. As this added feminine comes in, new choices come into the fifth dimensional octave space, not the third dimensional space. Third dimension, it's clash. Third dimension is that feminine energy talking to power, competition, advantage over third dimensional masculine energy. That's a clash. That clash is going to produce some amazing opportunities and some amazing unintended consequences. The world is going to be in 3D a choppy place this next year. But where we're talking, this ability to simply allow that feminine and that vibration of smooth to let you look at parts of your story and recognize, I have no value holding on to that part of the story. It may have happened, it may not have happened. Does it serve me in how I'm rewriting my story? Because that's what 2025, 26, 27, 28 is going to be all about. Not only rewriting the story, writing a new story. In the writing of the new story, this solstice is opening up this multidimensional space in such a way that you're going to begin to expand your consciousness. You're going to begin to start to have awareness that makes no sense, but it's kind of cool. Think about your dream space where there's the density is not quite the same. And so you get the past, somebody from the past, somebody from the future, and you have a party and they're all there and something says, wait, something's not right about this. That's the 3D mind. That's the brain saying, wait, this doesn't fit. But as you begin to play in this space, that daydream and night dream space is going to start to be accessible in a lesser density. And your ability to start to restructure what you think is your past and future, you're going to start to bump into choices for a new story. You're going to start to engage more with the higher self, with the soul's intention, and as we're stepping into a new arena. These solstice is such that basically we are moving 1 year forward. We're never staying in the same place. The circle, the rotation completes itself, but it never ends where it started. It ends in a new place, and then it ends in a new place. This aspect of consciousness, time space that we're stepping into is new. It's not part of your experience to date. It's not part of your 3D. It's new. It's as if we are closing a chapter and then going on another trip, another experience. If you can allow that as a possible, interesting consideration, in this expansion, which some people will call in stepping into multiple additional timelines, take the labels off and allow it to be an expanded awareness. Fascinating. I'm on a trip. I'm riding on the train. I'm seeing new scenery, new possibilities, new concepts, new. If you can allow what you're seeing, because some of it will be confusing. It's new. I don't know what to do with it. I don't have a place to put this. If you can allow it to be curious, fascinating. I just had this amazing dream. Not a weird dream, an amazing dream. That begins to reshape the brain and the soul's intention for this next cycle that is unfolding into the 2030s. In 2030, your story will be very different and your experience will be very different. It's all being available to be shaped right now. So this solstice, this chunk of time, this new year, many cycles are coming into presence all at once. The third dimensional game is going to get rocked. It's going to get loud. It's going to get very disrupted because that male-dominant game cannot continue in this new cycle that we're stepping into. So this feminine energy, this aspect of the Holy Spirit, this aspect of creation, the first impulse of creation, feminine. I wonder how this could happen. How would it be possible? No straight lines, no angles, simply flow, opportunity, possibility, very fluid in this space. So this period we're coming into full of changes. If you're holding on to I'm not okay, it's time to really begin to let that go. The opportunity to let it go is being presented. It's just simply step back, pause, allow, and you're going to start to notice pieces changing. Those of you who played in the conference that we just had, it was interesting. The very first set of information that was approached, a question was asked, how is your filing system? How is your memory structure? How is your recoverable, the mechanism to recover what's in your memory? Nobody asked a question since, what did you mean? What does that mean? Filing system, memory recall system. You see, the brain has been giving you stories, and those stories are how you've lived your life or who you believed you lived it. Right now, the opportunity basically to rewrite those stories is unfolding, but something even more exciting is unfolding. You have a filing system connected to the soul. Some people call it Akashic records. That's not quite right. Partially. You have a aspect of a completely intact filing system and memory recall system that's held in the etheric body. So many of you are playing at this stage now where we're working with that etheric body. The astral body, people will call it, not familiar with the etheric body. In that etheric body is perfectly designed memory filing system and the ability to recall anything instantaneously. It's the blueprint, the etheric body, for the physical body in 3D. But the physical body has gotten kind of bumped around. The etheric body isn't quite aligned with the physical body. And those playing in the light body, creating that light body, you're starting to align that in a very meaningful way based on everything that's being said. So this space where you start to change or access this filing system, memories, in this fourth layer of time or fourth aspect of time, there is no, it's as if it's just floating. You're looking at yourself and you can pull this piece out as part of the story that doesn't support your master script. You're going to be able to start to look into this new awareness and recognize, oh, I know how to do that. Let me bring that into my story. So the ability to begin to rewrite, pick and choose in the fluidness of the higher self and the soul is what this expanded awareness begins to present. So I've jumped around a little bit, but I think the message is pretty clear. If you're playing in 3D, hanging on to 3D, arguing for 3D, it is painful. There are a lot of stories that are going to be dragged through that 3D experience. There's a lot of cultures that have stories that are layered into your space that have nothing to do with you, but there they are, hardwired. There are religions, there are ethnicities, there are belief systems that are all built into the system of the story. It's this space where allowing this feminine and this opening and awareness to both rewrite the story and begin to see purpose. What is the purpose? You're not here randomly by accident at this time. This is like the best of the story that's unfolding. And you've played the hard part of the story. Would you like to rewrite the script? Would you like to begin to recognize that in lining with that etheric body, that filing system, that memory recall system starts to work? Now, if you want to have any inkling of how big that is, just look at what's happening over in technology and artificial intelligence. In that 1 second, if I say, put your attention on this 1 second, what did you notice? Oh, wait, it's gone. Here it goes. You noticed virtually nothing. But if you say in that 1 second to ChatGPT, I would like to know in that 1 second, it scanned 10 billion pieces of information and started organizing it and giving it back to you in that 1 second. That technology, every bit of technology that you're seeing today comes out of the brain. It already exists. It's already there. You have it in place to be used, but not in third dimension. So you're watching this whole transformation through time-space, evolution, moving towards your own personal ascensions. So let me just back up and we'll do a little piece of play in this feminine energy. So the opportunity to rewrite the story is what's really the underlying piece of this shift that we're in right now. There is a massive opening in terms of if you need to use timelines are starting to open up and be accessible. Some of the timelines are crossing, some of the timelines are kind of in parallel, but take the label timeline away and just allow you in present time having time and space pass through you. What would you like to know? Time and space will pass through you with the answer. It's not, the answer lies where the question is asked. And time and space move through you, so you don't have to go anywhere to find it. If that concept can be made conscious, the ability to take advantage of this very widening array of consciousness and this flow of feminine coming in to stabilize the ability to move more fluidly, this is going to be a very interesting period of time that we step into. There are more pieces to what's being presented, and we'll play with them again at the equinox. But let me tell you one other piece, actually, that I'm playing with it. In 3D, in the life playing on the game board of 3D, there are barriers, rules, structures that don't allow us, veils, people call them, don't allow us to wander into what I've been pointing to for the last better part of an hour. What is in that space is what is in that space. We are now moving out of that 3D space. We're moving into another aspect of your consciousness. And on this side of the timeline, something we don't pay much attention to generally, some people do, it's the astrologies. Now, because we're no longer limited to just the Earth moving around the sun in terms of how we define time and space, 1 year. We're now moving more so into what's referred to as the progression of the equinoxes. The whole solar system moving around a cycle, 27,000 years, plus or minus, I don't remember the number. We're moving into another chapter of the book. Some people have called this Aquarius. We're moving into Aquarius. However you wish to call this, what we're moving into is an entirely new frame of consciousness. It has not been available to us in 3D. It will not be available to those who wish to stay in 3D until they leave the body. It's a step out of that box into this octave, fifth dimensional, multidimensional space. And astrology is going to tell you some interesting things. Somewhere out, when we looked in it and then looked at astrology, overlapping it, calling some of the fun astrologers that we get to all play with, I said, what's going to happen in May and April and May? And there's a particular Jupiter-Uranus alignment. It means nothing to me. I don't play in astrology. I said, this is what's going to happen. They said, that's what's going to happen. And then we said, well, what about out into November? There's a whole set of things that are going to happen. And they said, this is what's going to happen. And so the parallels and the alignment was very equal. So this astrology is going to begin, not so much horoscopes, but consciousness is going to present a layer of information that basically says, here's how your solar system works. Here's how your galaxy works. This is how, now you're going to have awareness. We're not saying you're going to see extraterrestrials showing up on the planet. Maybe, I don't know, that's not the point. But you are going to start to have awareness that is in a whole different frame than anything you've ever experienced before. Hear it positive, hear it excitingly, hear it as like, wow. But also, there's going to be some confusion. Confusion, not a bad thing. It's like, I don't know what to do with this. Perfect. Step back and go, wow, this is interesting. I don't know what to do with this. It's kind of fascinating. What happens when I put my finger over there? Something happens. Allow curiosity. Allow your imagination to begin to come back to you. Another piece of this next year. We'll talk about it another time. So let me come to a kind of a pause for what I just said, because I want to just do a little piece of feeling what we're talking about. This energy is here. It's not coming. It's here. And it's an alignment. And when you can just bring yourself into this alignment of ease and happy and comfortableness, that intelligence is going to start to present. So would you take a breath and just sit back with your eyes open for a moment? And would you bring your attention to you? Just let what was said just go for a minute and see how quick you can do that. It's always fun. Okay, I can move from point A to point B without having to linger in point A. And would you be right in the center of your head? Kind of looking through your eyes, be aware that you're here and the wall, door, window is over there. I'm not over there, I'm here. And just a nice smooth breath. And would you be aware of sitting in the chair? The request is simply, can you shift your point of observation, your point of attention? I'm right here. I'm not in that conversation. I'm right here. And would you, eyes open, be quiet, present, and aware. I'm aware. I'm sitting in a chair, quiet, right here. Now, for those of you who've been playing in setting your crown chakra at that green gold, would you simply do that? And would you say hello to everybody else that's sitting right here? And would you be comfortable? And then stay right here, but let your eyes close if you'd like. But very present, very aware. And comfortable. This word comfortable kind of allows an ease. It just, the body relaxes. It kind of just moves a little bit here and there. And, okay, that's better. Comfortable. Be conscious of making yourself comfortable. And then would you recognize masculine energy? Masculine being stable, focused, precise, very capable, all those masculine words. And there's a rigidness to some of those words. But you just kind of notice how those words could be rigid. No motion. Very stable, great for building things, but here, rigid. And then would you allow flow, the feminine energy, to be here right alongside of this? I see this structure, but this flow, it just softens. Would you find that softening sensation, feeling soft? There's a fluidness in it. It just kind of allows a little bit of, it's not that rigidness, it's fluid. And would you take another breath? And would you be aware of that rigid, whatever rigid means for you? Maybe in your space, it's I can't, I don't have permission, I'm not smart enough, rigid. And right over here, that fluidness, that feminine, that ease, that flow. Would you kind of say hello to that masculineness? Yeah, thank you for that stability, that structure, that rigidness. It has been necessary, holding me together, maybe, but maybe not. But that rigid, just kind of notice that feeling rigid in the body. But don't search for it, it's there, right there. And would you simply recognize that when that flow, that feminine, begins to engage with that masculine, masculine is not broken here, that rigid, it serves purpose. But right here, we're just going to simply say, you know what, you can take a breath, that rigid, and you can relax a little bit into that rigid. It just kind of begins to soften up. We're not fixing anything, we're just giving rigid permission to be flexible. It doesn't drop into fluid. It doesn't become water. It doesn't have no stability to it. It just simply begins to have the ability to bend a little bit. It still has purpose. It's just going to be softened a little bit. And would you relax and be comfortable? Now, right here where we're sitting in this realm, because it's a little different than third dimension right here, this realm, this aspect of where we're sitting right here, that masculine and feminine work together for a third answer, not a duality, not a too rigid, too fluid, simply a third answer, an answer that says the strength doesn't give way to the fluidness, and the fluidness doesn't become overwhelmed by the strength. Would you have a sense of your feminine nature, not men or women nature, not psychological, simply this is who I am. It's fluid, it's flexible, it's happy. There's an ease. And I have strength, not rigid. I have strength. I have flexibleness. I can hear multiple sides of a discussion. I am fluid and strong at the same time. Comfortable, at ease, happy. And would you have an intention to just simply look into time, space, and intend to see the expansion, to see what is now available that was not available a moment ago? Just an intention. And as you hold this intention, you might recognize, without seeing it at this moment, that the colors are expanded. They're brighter and they're softer. The colors, they're new. There are a lot of new colors. 6, to be exact, new colors you will see before the year 2030. But right here, they're iridescent and they're effervescent and they're just alive. Could you just kind of feel them? They're happy feeling colors. Imagination. You're just imagining outside of your story. Now, just the success is in the allowing, not the answer, not the result. You see, you're going to see education of young people begin to be different. It's not, we're starting from 100 and you missed the answer, so you only get something lesser than 100. That's how we've been taught. In this space, you start at 0 and good for you. Wow, you found something really exciting. That's pretty nice. Here you have a 1, you have a 2, you have a 50, you have a 75, you have a 10 million. There's no top end to right here in this point of imagination. Everything's a success. It's like, oh wow, I never saw that tree before. Excitement versus, oh, I missed one. I didn't get it right. Would you just bring your attention into that awareness? Need nothing, see nothing, intend the expanded awareness. And just feel it. Magic is only something that hasn't been discovered as yet in many ways. And yet, even when it's discovered, it's like, whoa, now I have even more information. So this is not magic is in third dimensional tricks. This is the magic of imagination that is what is unfolding in this expanded space. Can you feel it? Can you allow it? Know nothing, just feel it. Intend to feel a new color. Don't see it, just kind of intend. Happy, present, comfortable. It's another one of these stepping across a line is what we're doing. There really is no line. We're stepping into a space that allows. And this space, rewriting the story, is going to be a place that this next year is going to be dabbling in, playing in, putting your toe into the water. Because the story that's held in the causal body, the story that's accessible outside of time limitation, is quite an amazing story to bring into this physical space to play. It's the fluidity and the expanded feminine energy that will allow the opportunity for the story to be rewritten. And one last piece here. As we go through this period of time, it's 100% about you. It's 100% about you. It's absorbing, becoming, realigning, recreating, remembering you. But that you is 100 about service to others. And so it's going to be a challenging time for many in this coming year. And not yours to fix, not your story many times, but where there is an opportunity to reach out, to uplift, to nurture, to be compassionate, that's part of your 100% growth in service to others. So would you just feel that ease, be in the octave, those of you know how to play there. The opportunity to go back and play with your tools, begin to remember some of your tools, the choices, the applications. It's in this fluid, combined strength and flow. It's the place where the answer to the how do you square the circle and circle the square, if you know that riddle, this is where the circle becomes the square and the square becomes the circle, and 1 and 1 is 3. Everything goes to the higher road. So with that said, would you simply like yourself right here where you're sitting? And that flow is powerful. And that sense of permission is very gracious. So another breath. I hope this was helpful. It's going to be a very interesting shift in 3D. Choppy, challenging, noisy, outrageous, unbelievable. More wars, more climate change. Just know that's all happening in 3D to basically move to right here, this space of fluidity, opportunity, nurturing. Hello, I see you. Enjoy the journey because it's going to become fascinating. With that, let me step away. Blessings.